Unpack, Juliette, what you heard from General Hayden and how those events played themselves out this week.
Well, Hayden predicted exactly how it unfolded, and one could even argue that maybe the White House saw him and thought this might be our lifeline. And so what your viewers have to understand is that the law recognizes that there will be incidental collection. They're following a potential foreign intelligence agent. He happens to call me because we're doing some project together. And so therefore, whatever I said to him might be captured. So the law has in it. It specifically designates the potential for incidental collection and protects the U.S. citizen who may not be under surveillance. And so it's so normal that the fact that the Trump administration would come out and say, aha, this is the moment, and as you said, it really wasn't the moment, I think shows a certain amount of desperation about the investigation and how it's unfolding at this stage. I will say also on Nunes, I mean, it was a meltdown week for him, because remember, by Friday, he was kind of even backtracking from what he said, and he basically needs to go for having done this.
Well, I want to show everybody part of what he said this week after making that trip to the White House. Roll that tape, please.
To me, it's clear that I would be concerned if I was the president, and that's why I wanted him to know. And I felt like I had a duty and obligation to tell him because, as you know, he's been taking a lot of heat in the news media. And I think to some degree, there are some things that he should look at to see whether, in fact, he thinks the collection was proper or not.
Juliette, when he said that he thinks there are things that President Trump, should look at, I said to myself, lacking your credentials, I said, wait a minute, that's your job.
Yeah. I mean, basically, Nunes has one job, and he didn't do it, right, which is to be the oversight committee to ensure that this election was secure, and that there is no collusion with the Trump campaign. Look, a lot of evidence is coming out. We're only talking about one story this week. There were stories about Manafort and his past lobbying efforts. By Friday, there's a story about Mike Flynn, the former national security advisor. All these different pieces cut across the spectrum from mere coincidence to potential collusion. And that's what an investigation is about. I mean, the idea that, they haven't shown anything yet, seems to be the answer by Trump supporters. This is what an investigation does. It takes all those different pieces from foreign intelligence wiretap, surveillance, the potential that one of these witnesses, and I believe it might be Mike Flynn, is talking to investigators about what he knows. All of those pieces will come together, and we'll see at some stage whether a legal case can be made.
Okay, so now to go back to General Hayden being prescient in saying that when all is said and done, the White House will try and portray in criminal terms what is the routine collection of incidental evidence. I want to show you President Trump seizing the moment. Roll the tape.
Did you feel vindicated by Chairman Nunes coming over here?
I somewhat do. I must tell you, I somewhat do. I very much appreciated the fact that they found what they found.
So he now sees vindication, but I remind the audience of the tweet that began all this 3 weeks ago today. Just found out that Obama had my, quote, wires tapped in Trump Tower just before the victory. Nothing found. This is McCarthyism. And in an interview with Michael Shear at Time Magazine this week, the president said, well, I had that in quotation marks. I'm paraphrasing, but it's a very liberal interpretation of what I meant by wiretapping. Explain.
Well, when Trump said those tweets, or when he wrote those tweets, he clearly wanted the American public to believe that President Obama himself, with no predicate, demanded of the FBI that they put wiretaps on Trump Tower and on Trump himself. First of all, you can't do that. There's no way that a president could do that. But even assuming that he's right, it's such a hostile statement about the previous administration. And I think what's happened this week is it led Director Comey, by Monday to say, look, this is about my investigators and this investigation. I was wrong. I thought Comey would not validate that there was a criminal investigation going on, or an investigation going on about potential collusion with the Trump administration. It was a jaw-dropping moment. And the reason why I believe now Comey did that was to protect his agency and to protect the investigation. It's now almost impossible for the Trump administration to close down the FBI investigation. They can, be in collusion with Nunes, which is clearly the case right now, but it's almost almost impossible now for them to have any influence, which is good, over an independent investigation about Trump ties to the Russian hacking events.
Hey, Juliette, final thought. Just tell me yay or nay if you agree, because this gets confusing quickly. The big picture question is whether there was an aiding and abetting of a hacking. I mean, that's the legal issue, right? That's where this is headed. We don't know the answer to that question, but when all is said and done, that's the issue.
That's the issue, and on a scale from 0 to 10, 0 being these are all coincidences and 10 is collusion, I am now at a 7.
Wow, okay.